A very good evening and welcome to the news tonight, your one stop for the day's top stories from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. A month-long election exercise comes to an end tomorrow in Manipur to have polling across 1,151 booths in its second and final phase. The final phase of elections in Uttar Pradesh as well tomorrow. 40 constituencies spread over 7 eastern districts of the state to vote in the last phase. US issues a second travel advisory banning citizens of mainly Muslim nations from entering for 12 days. Iraq is left out of the list. And India levels the test match series against Australia 1-1 against a victory target of 188 runs. Ashwin's 6-wicket haul restricts the visitors to just 112 runs. First, let's get you the latest from the ongoing assembly elections in verdict 2017. Manipur is gearing up for the second and final phase to be held on the 8th of March. This phase will witness polling in 22 assembly constituencies. The first phase registered an impressive voter turnout and all eyes are now going to be on Thoubal constituency, where Irom Sharmila is pitted against the Chief Minister. Polling parties have been sent to all 1,151 booths for the last phase of Manipur's elections. With most of the seats in the hill areas in this phase, officials have been asked to pay more attention to the sensitive areas. Polling will begin at 7 a.m. and end by 3 p.m.
हम भी बहुत अच्छा से ट्रेनिंग किया है. We are training. We do very well training, and I hope we conduct smoothly this election.
Are you getting support from the security personnel?
Yes. We CRPF 9 persons and local police, two men and 1 woman. Total 11 we have.
265 companies of paramilitary forces have been deployed for this phase, in addition to the state police forces, which account for around 7,000 personnel. Each polling booth will have 10 jawans manning the area along with police constables. Manipur is home to more than 40 active underground outfits, and while in these elections we've seen no boycott calls, 578 booths have been assigned as critical and 185 are vulnerable.
इंस्ट्रक्शन ये है कि कोई बोगस वोट ना डाले और जो सिक्योरिटी में और कोई किसी का कोई बोगस वोट पड़ रहा है या कोई बोलता है डबल आ रहा है ट्रिपल आ रहा है ऐसे कुछ है तो उसके बारे में ध्यान रखेंगे. वो बताएगा प्रोसीडिंग ऑफिसर कि मेरे को कुछ सुरक्षा में ये है, यही आदमी जबरदस्ती कर रहा है या ये आदमी ऐसे आया है या ये आदमी लीगल है, तो उसके बारे में हम लोग उसको चेक करेंगे, पकड़ेंगे.
Over 85% voting witnessed in the first phase, Election Commission officials are hopeful that phase 2 repeats or surpasses the voting percentage. While video cameras have been installed at all polling stations, different mobile apps like Suvidha, Samadhan and e-Manipur are also being handled from inside the election office premises. A special toll-free number, 1950, is also working round the clock to help with election-related queries. The second phase is logistically challenging because most of the seats fall in hilly areas close to the international border with Myanmar or the state borders of Nagaland and Assam.
Given the terrain of the second phase of elections, problems are many and facilities are very few. It also reflects the working of the government for last 3 terms. It will be interesting to see that how people come and participate in the election on polling day beyond these problems. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Television with camera person Prasanto in Thoubal of Manipur.
Now, after that large turnout in the first phase of elections, Governor Najma Heptullah has requested people to come out in a much bigger number for the second phase. In an exclusive interview to our correspondent Akhilesh Suman, the governor discusses political awareness of the people and also gives her views on the economic blockade.
First phase of election is over in Manipur and all preparations are at place for the second phase. With me, Governor of Manipur, Najma Heptullah is there, and let me ask her what she thinks about the higher turnout in the first phase election. Madam, it was a very good presence of voters at the polling booths, and they have shown that Manipur is quite aware that more than 86%, it is around 87% polling. So how do you think how this happened in Manipur?
Well, I'm very happy that it happened in Manipur. I had made a very earnest request and appeal to all the voters to come out and use this adult franchise because it is part of the constitutional right. In fact, I feel that the second phase of the election, which is in a more difficult area, it's a hilly area, but I request those voters to come and vote. In fact, I had a movement when I was president of the Interparliamentary Union that voting should be made compulsory because a lot of money government spends on election, every government.
Yeah, Manipur is showing the way that people will vote. People will wait. But economic blockade is still on. More than 100 days are going. So in that situation, if people are coming and voting, do you think that it shows something very special about the state?
Maybe only when the result will come out on 11th, then we would know exactly for what they voted. But they voted. And blockade or no blockade, people should vote. And anyway, it was much easier for them to vote because it's mostly the valley area. But I hope that the second phase on the 8th, they will come out and vote. This will be better than the blockade because this will be using their democratic right. I have been telling them because they all come and meet me. I said use the democratic means for redressal of your grievances. Undemocratic means are not good.
Governor Najma Heptulla is quite confident, like first phase of election, in second phase also, people will turn up in larger numbers and they will reflect the will of the people and they will reflect how new assembly will be being in making. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person Prasanto in Imphal.
Now, the second phase of polling in Manipur is being seen much more challenging for authorities due to the difficult terrain and lack of connectivity. And Rajya Sabha TV's Akhilesh Suman spoke to the Chief Electoral Officer about the arrangements for the second phase.
What is the major challenge in the second phase election?
Second phase of election in Manipur will be covering 1151 polling stations spread over 6 districts of Chandel, Ukhrul, Senapati, Tamenglong, Thawal and Jiribam. Out of these 6 districts, 4 hill districts are having logistics problem. It is difficult terrain, road conditions are bad. We had to use 4x4 vehicles to reach the polling stations. Out of 1151 polling stations, 24 polling parties had to leave on P-3 day.
That is what I was going to ask, that you have 4 hill districts. So what you have arranged for the hill districts? How we are managing the logistic of the hill districts?
We started dispatching polling parties on P-3 day, that is on 5th of March. We dispatched 24 polling parties. On P-2 day, that is on 6th of March. We had dispatched 211 polling parties. They had to go long distance. Road condition is really bad. They had to walk on foot for more than 5 hours, and they'll be able to reach today by evening only.
Okay. So in those areas, I think connectivity of wireless is also a problem. Even mobile connectivity and 3G connectivity is a problem. So how will you monitor from here?
In fact, we have made adequate communication plan. We have made arrangement for 30 satellite phones also, and all the polling stations have been covered by the repeater wireless stations recently installed by the state police.
And now to UP. 40 constituencies spread over 7 eastern districts of the state will go to polls on the 8th of March. This phase also brings the 2-month-long poll exercise to a close. Here's a report. Electioneering for the 7th and last phase culminated on Monday after various political parties wrapped up a trailblazer campaign in Uttar Pradesh. Voters from 7 districts, including Ghazipur, Varanasi, Chandauli, Mirzapur, Bhadoi, Sonbhadra and Jaunpur, will exercise their franchise on Wednesday. With opponents giving a tough fight in the Prime Minister's parliamentary constituency, the battle for Varanasi has become a matter of prestige for the BJP.
In this election, that modesty, beauty, cultural heritage of his Banaras is in threat. Most of the political parties unnecessarily made it a prestige issue, and out of altogether 8 seats of this district, BJP was enjoying good number of MLAs, but now everyone is neck to neck with others.
A total of 1.4 crore people will vote for 535 candidates in this phase. This includes around 65 lakh female voters and 706 from the third gender. While the maximum number of 24 candidates are from Varanasi Cant seat, a minimum of 6 candidates are contesting from Kerakat. 14,458 polling booths have been set up for this phase.
We have made the ample security arrangements and we have a 90% coverage of booth by central paramilitary forces. All sensitive and vulnerable booths have been covered. We have put 170 sector magistrate all along with the sector police officers and with a reserve for a mobile priority. So each and every booth will be covered within 5 to 8 minutes, even in case of any contingency of any problem.
BSP has fielded its nominees for all seats, while the BJP is contesting in 22, leaving 8 seats to its allies Apna Dal and Suhel Dev Bharatiya Samaj Party. Samajwadi Party's candidates are in the fray in 31 segments, and its ally Congress is contesting from 9 seats. In the 2012 State Assembly polls, Samajwadi Party won 23 of the 40 seats, 5 went to BSP, 4 to the BJP, 3 to Congress and 5 to others.
The important issues in this particular region of Purvanchal are unemployment, farmers' distress, law and order situation and infrastructure development. But the vitriolic campaign, loaded with caste, community and religious mobilizations, shoved these issues to the back burner. It is a high-stakes political arena for all the parties locked in a triangular contest. Reporting from Varanasi with camera person Arvind, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
And extensive security arrangements are in place, and companies of paramilitary forces and police have been deployed to ensure peaceful polling. Speaking to Rajya Sabha TV, the Inspector General of Police of Varanasi said that appropriate action would be taken against all poll illegalities.
Tell us about the security arrangements to ensure free and fair polling takes place tomorrow.
We have made elaborate security arrangements for the polling day. We have deployed 800 sub-inspectors, 425 head constables and 5,700 constables, totally for polling duty. We also have 50 barriers to check the free movement and infiltration of outsiders and antisocial elements.
So how many companies of paramilitary forces have you deployed?
We have deployed 55 companies of paramilitary and 4 companies of state provincial armed constabulary.
Has there been seizure of illicit liquor and cash?
Yeah, there has been a seizure of 3 crore 38 lakhs cash only in Varanasi districts, and we have seized 2,892 liters of liquor also. And every vulnerable village we have deployed the paramilitary force in the vulnerable pocket, and police have made elaborate preventive measures before the election, and all the vulnerable areas were properly taken care of, and there is no vulnerability as on today.
From Varanasi with camera person Arvind, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
And Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav on Tuesday addressed a rally in Alapur and Ambedkar Nagar, where he once again targeted the Prime Minister. The UP CM said that the Prime Minister and the BJP were playing divisive politics over the electricity issue. He also said that the Prime Minister's promise of waiving off loans for farmers was a false one, as BJP-ruled governments had failed to do so in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. The Alapur seat was to go for polls on the 27th of February, but due to a death of a Samajwadi Party candidate, the polling was postponed to the 9th of March. With a quick break here, more news follows in a bit. Stay with us.
Nationalism, to say, is monopolized by a certain section of people whose agenda is that if you are not with me, then you are anti-national.
Nobody can monopolize nationalism, and nobody can define nationalism.
It was the war that killed her father. Does BJP see Gurmeher Kaur now as an anti-national?
You have to understand that she's just a student for me. Our battle is with the far leftist ideological group.
Watch to the point with Union Minister of State for Home Affairs, Kiran Rijiju, only on Rajya Sabha Television. Gyan Chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue, symbolized by the ladders, rewarded, while the vices shown by the snakes are punished. Each square in turn also narrates a message of wisdom.
It's election time again. Voters in 5 states gear up to cast their votes. Catch all the action in Verdict 2017, Monday to Friday on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Let's get to some more national news now. And after spending 3 days in his Lok Sabha constituency Varanasi campaigning for the assembly elections in UP, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is now on a 2-day tour of his home state, Gujarat. Arriving in Surat, the Prime Minister today addressed the people at the airport. He spoke about the government's decision to increase PG medical seats in hospitals and medical colleges. The Prime Minister also spoke about several steps being undertaken to enhance urban infrastructure. He also inaugurated the Petro Auditions Limited, OPAL, in the industry town of Dahej. He dedicated the 30,000 crore petrochemicals plant to the people. The plant is claimed to be the largest petrochemicals plant in Asia. The Prime Minister also inaugurated India's longest cable bridge in Bharuch over the Narmada River on the Ahmedabad-Mumbai National Highway. Addressing the people, he took a dig at the Akhilesh government in UP, saying that the projects in the state were waiting to be completed for years.
कोई कहता था साहब वो दूर जो दिखता है ना खंभा पिलर दिखता है ना ये 15 साल पहले ब्रिज का शिलान्यास हुआ था अभी तक 2 खंभे डले हैं आगे नहीं हुआ है काशी में भी 13 साल पुराना एक स्ट्रक्चर लटका पड़ा हुआ है मैंने कहा अच्छा होता आप भारत सरकार को दे देते मैं आकर के इसको पूरा कर देता
In other news, hundreds of fishermen protested in Tamil Nadu's Rameshwaram against the killing of an Indian fisherman, allegedly by the Sri Lankan Navy. A 22-year-old fisherman was shot dead yesterday while he was fishing in his boat. Chief Minister E.K. Palaniswamy condemned the incident and announced a compensation of 5 lakh rupees for the victim's family. In the letter to the centre, the Chief Minister accused the Sri Lankan Navy of resorting to inhuman tactics by opening indiscriminate fire on unarmed fishermen. He also said that under no circumstances can the present escalation of actions by the Sri Lankan side be ignored or tolerated. Meanwhile, the Sri Lankan Navy has assured a thorough probe into the killing after India raised the issue with its Prime Minister. Categorically denying any involvement in the fishermen's killing, the Lankan Navy has said that it does not open fire at fishermen, only makes arrests. And here are more updates from across the country and nationwide. At least 8 persons were injured in a blast in the Bhopal-Ujjain passenger train today. The blast occurred in a general coach of the train that was on its way to Ujjain from Bhopal. The ceiling and glass windows of 2 coaches were damaged in the blast. A bomb disposal squad was investigating the incident. 3 people have been detained in Madhya Pradesh in connection with this. The Gadchiroli District and Sessions Court awarded life imprisonment to Delhi University Professor G.N. Sai Baba and 5 others for having links with Maoists. 6 people, including Professor Sai Baba, were convicted for their alleged links with Maoists and involvement in anti-India activities. 1 convict was sentenced to 10 years rigorous imprisonment. The wheelchair-bound English professor was arrested in 2014 and was out on bail since June last year. Another army jawan has spoken out against the army's buddy or Sahayak system. In a video posted on social media sites, Jawan Sindhav Jogidas has complained that some army officers misuse the Sahayak system and that he was punished for refusing to do so. The video surfaces less than a week after Army Jawan Roy Matthew was found dead under mysterious circumstances after he was featured in a video exposing the Sahayak system in the army. Our international news, and the US has issued a second travel advisory banning citizens of mainly Muslim nations from entering the country from the 16th of March for 12 days, while Sudan, Syria, Iran, Libya, Somalia and Yemen continue to figure in the banned list. Iraq has been left out. Here are more details.
US President Donald Trump signed a revised executive order placing a 90-day ban on people from 6 Muslim-majority nations. The latest order is specific to people from Sudan, Syria, Iran, Libya, Somalia and Yemen, but doesn't apply to those who already have valid visas. Iraq, which was covered in the previous 7-nation order, was removed from the new directive after it agreed to increase cooperation on visa vetting measures. The order takes effect from 16th March and suspends admission of refugees into the US for 120 days.
The president's trying to keep Americans safe, and we know that in these 6 countries that are remaining, those countries are not in a position to actually vet their own individuals trying to leave in an appropriate fashion. So it's okay if we take a short period of time, perhaps 120 days as suggested, and make sure that our policies are in place such that we can do a good job of vetting these individuals coming across.
President Trump also asked for recommendations from state departments of any country that could be included in future suspension of entry into the US. The Trump administration defended the revised travel ban, saying that the order is necessary to protect US from foreign extremists and is not aimed at Muslims.
I think that what we did was completely legal. In accordance with the law and in accordance with the U.S. Code. I think we had a setback at the court, and we had to make a decision ultimately about how to pursue what the president felt was in the best interest of keeping the nation safe. I mean, that's it. And again, I think our ultimate goal would have been to, if possible, pursue both tracks. I think ultimately the advice that the president received was that in order to protect the country as thoroughly as possible and as quick as possible was to pursue this track.
This is the second travel ban since Donald Trump took over as president in January. The first order sparked worldwide outrage and more than 24 lawsuits were filed in U.S. courts against the controversial immigration ban. The state of Washington got it suspended by arguing that it violated constitutional protections against religious discrimination. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Now, of course, it's too early to expect President Donald Trump to fulfill his campaign promise of making America great again, but it's clear that he has his work cut out for him. The U.S. is ranked 7th in a global survey that measures people's perceptions of which are the best countries in the world. The rankings were released by U.S. News and World Report in partnership with the University of Pennsylvania. Switzerland debuted as the best country, followed by Canada and the United Kingdom. The U.S. fell 3 ranks to the 7th spot, with nearly 75% of the respondents saying that they have lost some respect for the U.S. leadership after the 2016 presidential elections. America dropped in rankings for business, citizenship, adventure tourism, education and transparency. But it is still perceived as the most powerful nation on earth, running ahead of Russia, China and Germany. India is ranked 25th of the 80 countries, dragged down by the global perception that it is not among the best countries for women. In other news, North Korea said that it was practicing to strike United States military bases in Japan with its latest barrage of missiles, as it appears to try and outsmart a new American anti-missile battery being deployed. Kim Jong-un presided over Monday's launch of the 4 missiles. The launch and the following announcement is being seen as a brazen declaration of the country's intent to strike enemies with a nuclear weapon if it came under attack. The 4 ballistic missiles fired on Monday morning were launched by the elite Hwasong Ballistic Missile Division. The United States has several military bases and about 54,000 military personnel stationed in Japan. 3 of the 4 missiles flew about 600 miles over North Korea and landed in the sea within Japan's exclusive economic zone, also home to Japanese Self-Defense Forces base. The 4th fell just outside that zone. And now on to cricket. In India leveled the 4-match test series against Australia 1-all after winning the second test in Bengaluru by 75 runs. Defending a target of 188 runs, the hosts were held passion 6-wicket haul as they bowled out the visitors for just 112 runs. Earlier, India were bundled out quickly for the fourth day, scoring 274 in their second innings.
16 wickets fell on the fourth day of the Bengaluru Test as India defeated Australia by 75 runs to level the 4-match series 1-1. Defending 187 runs in the second innings, the Indian bowlers had a difficult first hour as the visitors raced to 42 for 1. Umesh Yadav provided 2 crucial breaks before ace spinner Ravichandran Ashwin rattled the Australian batting order, reducing them to 101 for 6 at tea. Post-tea, the visitors lost the remaining 4 wickets after adding just 11 runs to fold up at 112 runs. Ashwin finished with 6 wickets, his 25th 5-wicket haul in Test cricket. Australian captain Stephen Smith top scored with 28 runs. Earlier, India resumed their second innings from the overnight score of 213 for 4. Pujara and Rahane added 128 runs for the 5th wicket, but their fall triggered a batting collapse for the hosts, who were bowled out for 274 runs. Pujara top scored with 92.
A couple of sessions in Test cricket are game-changing. I think that first session on day 2 for us was game-changing. 47 runs only, loss of 2 wickets. I think we just stopped the momentum for them there and then. And from there on, we knew, 1 or 2 mistakes. We're going to keep getting wickets every session and pull this Test match close. The moment they did not score big in the first innings, we knew that we have a chance in the second innings as well. Historically, the teams have chased totals down on this ground, but since the wicket has been relayed, we know what the scores in first-class cricket have been. 120 is the best, any team has done. So we knew if we get anything over 150, they're going to be under pressure if they lose a couple, and exactly panned out the way we thought about it.
Opener KL Rahul, who scored 90 and 51 in the 2 innings, was adjudged man of the match. Both teams will now meet in Ranchi for the 3rd Test that starts from March 16th. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And here are more updates from the world of sports in SportsBeat. Mobile phone manufacturing company Oppo will be the new sponsors for the Indian cricket team. The BCCI announced that Oppo will begin a 5-year contract from the 1st of April 2017. Oppo will take over from Star India, who were the team sponsors until now. The Indian women's hockey team defeated Belarus 2-1 to register their 4th consecutive victory in the 5-match Test series in Bhopal. Renuka Yadav opened the scoring in the 6th minute before Gurjeet Kaul doubled the lead 6 minutes later. The visitors responded in the second quarter but failed to finish to find an equalizer. Chelsea restored a 10-point lead at the top of the Premier League with a 2-1 win over West Ham on Monday. Diego Costa and Eden Hazard scored on either side of the half to give the Blues their 21st victory of the season. Chelsea leads the table with 66 points. And that's it on the news tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.